Obstacles. They're in every part of our lives, from our work life to our personal life. They're in our relationships. They're in our goal setting. They're everywhere. And there's really no way to avoid an obstacle. However, what we're going to talk about today is two different mindsets towards obstacles. And by the end of the video, the hope is that you can decide which way is the best pathway for you. So our first example of two different mindsets about obstacles starts with this story. I was driving in a parking lot. There was a building coming up on my left. There were parking spaces to my right. And honestly, I had no idea what was about to happen. 2 miles an hour, just cruising along. My eyes were up front, looking for something that could block my path. I didn't expect anything to come at me from the side. Let's stop there, because something may have passed through your mind, a terminology that we all use, and it's called right of way. In that moment, I absolutely had the right of way. Many people use that as an excuse for why they react to something the way that they do. It's not fair. If someone hadn't done this, then I could have done that. It's not fair. I have the right to. I have the right of way. Moving on forward with the story, I am looking ahead of me. I am not looking around me. I'm going 2 miles an hour. I didn't even hear her coming. Next thing I know, there is a horrible sound, metal on metal, and if there hadn't been a curb on this side, I would have been right against the building. And I sat there stunned, hands clenching the wheels, shaking, not believing what had just happened. And the thing is, guys, I had the right of way. But to her, I was an obstacle in the way. And you'll see why I say that in a moment. So it didn't matter that I had the right of way. It didn't matter that I was right. It didn't matter that what was happening wasn't fair. The truth of the matter is, my neck is still messed up, my arm is still messed up, my knee is still messed up, my back is still messed up. But I was right. I had the right of way. Now to her, and I'm using some of her own words in this, but telling it from a outside perspective. She saw me. When she was speeding through that parking lot, she saw me there. And I was an obstacle, a slow-moving obstacle in her way. And she knew that there was a chance that she would hit me. But because in her mind, I was going too slow and I was in her way, she had the right to whip around even though I was right there. The problem is she miscalculated. She whipped around and she dragged her car all the way down the passenger side of my car. She smashed it all. Did she get to her goal? Yes, she got to her goal of turning around. But she had to stop because she smashed right into her obstacle. If we don't consider our obstacles, if we don't think of ways to get around them successfully, to think of ways of using them to our advantage, or figuring out how to sidestep them entirely, you're going to crash right into your obstacle. And it's not going to be pretty. And in some cases, you may take down someone else with you. Obviously, a car accident is a bit of an extreme example. But think about it in your personal life. You may have people that are obstacles. You may have coworkers that are obstacles. Being very careful how you handle your obstacle and having a different mindset about your obstacle is really the key to being successful in any goal that you might have. So here's my second story. I like to go for walks, and for a while there, my siblings would go with me. One particular walk, we were walking on the outer edge of our neighborhood, so there was the main road to our right, foliage to our left, we are on the sidewalk. We get to where a car is stopped, waiting to turn. My choice, always in this type of situation, is even if there is traffic coming and I can still safely cross in front of them, is to look and make sure that around the car there isn't someone turning. I walk a couple feet this way, I go behind the car, and I come up the sidewalk and I keep going. My motion has never stopped. And guess what? I'm not in front of a dangerous vehicle that can hit me. This was all before a car accident. And my siblings followed me, and my brother goes, well, why did you do that? You had the right of way. Years later, I would learn that right of way didn't matter. But in that moment, I said, it makes more sense to me to A, not risk it, and to B, not get in that vehicle's way when a space clears up for them to go. Because that can happen very quickly, or the person in the car can perceive that that's happening really quickly, and they may not be paying attention to you. Or they could be mad at you for blocking their way. The safest route for me, in my mind, is to walk a couple extra feet and go around my obstacle. They're happy because they get to go when they want to. I'm happy because I continued my motion and I still got from point A to point B. And honestly, there was no skin off my teeth. It was no big deal to do that. But how many times do we see an obstacle and we think, I have the right of way? Or, it's not fair that it's there, it shouldn't be there? And we don't think about, okay, it's there. Now, how do I get around it? How do I get around it that is thoughtful, creative, and still gets me from point A to point B? It still gets me to my end goal. Yes, I've used a lot of car metaphors. It is something that is very prevalent in all of our lives, so I thought it would be a good one. Consider this. Consider what obstacles are standing in the way of your goal. Are you going to have a closed mindset of, me, this shouldn't be happening, this isn't fair, this is too hard, so I'm going to try something else? Or are you going to say, okay, I have an open mindset. There's an obstacle in my way. I predicted that obstacle. I can predict the other obstacles that might be in my way. And there will be obstacles that you cannot predict. Except you kind of did, because in your head you're going, I know there's obstacles that I can't predict. So you plan around them. This could be a system obstacle. This could be a policy that is currently in the making that you don't know how it's going to affect your department or your personal goal. It could be something in your life. A child is sick. Maybe mom and dad are moving in, maybe they're not. Life doesn't need to come to a standstill because an obstacle is in your way. We also don't want to move at an obstacle with so much force that we crash right into it. Remember, an open mindset says, I can. A closed mindset says, I won't. Because, insert excuse. many times the biggest obstacle that we have are the excuses about the obstacles.